Welcome to Movie Baiters with the Farx brothers. I'm Kyle.
I'm Kirk.
And this week we have, or I shouldn't say week because we released these over more than a week. You know that, dear linear listeners. This week we have Brandon Mitchell. Brandon, what do you like to, of the things you do, what do you like to be described as first? Director, writer, editor, DP?
DP.
You want to be DP first?
Yep.
Double penetration.
That's the only way to go.
You want to start there? Okay.
What else do you do besides? I've given the audience, I guess, an idea.
I've done it. Well, I guess like currently I'm doing. I'm trying to get into more photography. In the past, I've done like a lot of education stuff. I did some education stuff for a few schools here. I also worked in education for almost 9 years.
Oh gosh,
almost 9 years. I started off doing behavior. From behavior, I went to actually teaching a class at Creative Arts in St. Paul. I don't know if we can name drop in this.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, cool.
And if they come after us, please come after us, St. Paul.
Wow.
Repost the episode if you do, though.
And then, in Eden Prairie schools, I did photography and video stuff in Eden Prairie. I was the multimedia storyteller.
All these schools now have people like this that work for the school, or they hire someone to make content, because even the elementary and high schools make content. What was that like? I know you've most recently gotten out of it, but what's a day in the life of somebody making content about high schoolers, for high schoolers or the parents?
You find a subject, whatever they're doing. So most of the time, I will say this honestly, most of the time, every place I've been, they've been doing something really cool, either high school, elementary school level, even the special education level, they're always doing something really cool with students. So go and you find out what it is, take some B-roll of what they're doing, whether it's like an art class, if they have somebody coming in, or I know there was one particular time we had, at Eden Prairie, there was the owner of like a pizza chain. He came in and talked about business with all the students, talked about that, get B-roll of that, photos, kind of post it on social, get some interviews, put them together. So you kind of trying to make it about like anywhere from like a 2 minute to about 3 minute, 30-second video to put together. So people see it and stuff like that. They normally put on newsletters. They kind of put out clips of it on Instagram. So you can tell that like, kids and students are doing something, they're engaged. It's just not, sitting in chairs talking. It's like, or waiting to raise their hand on a subject. They're actually being interactive and doing certain things, whether it be polytech or even if it's aviation. There was an aviation program at Eden Prairie as well.
What? Like to fly planes?
They actually have a flight simulator there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and before I wanted to do more stuff before I left, but I didn't get a chance to. So that was one of the things I really wanted to do. But the superintendent of Eden Prairie Schools actually flies. He's an actual pilot. So I think he was a bit instrumental in trying to get that in there. Wow. And then trying to make sure that there's like enough kids like us. Like I'm very much about representation. So if you're black or brown, you're on camera. Not to say nobody else was, but everybody gets on there. Because I think it's important to be able to see people and kids that look like everybody doing a lot of the same stuff. So it didn't matter if it was a sport or if it was the aviation program, or they have like a cultural day for some of the elementary schools. Just kind of make sure that everybody's involved and get interviews. And it's like kids in video. Like it's the easiest thing, and it's so much fun. Like it was never not fun doing that job.
What's weird to me is that when I think of high school back when I went, just yesterday, because I'm very young, we didn't have an Instagram or a Facebook or any of these things.
When you had MySpace?
I did have a MySpace in high school. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm old. I didn't have that at all.
Yeah.
We had the pieces of paper we would send to each other. And
you pass it around classroom?
Yeah, get in trouble for it. That's what we had. That's how old I am.
What was the way that the parents were informed of what was going on at school? Like pictures in the school when they came? Maybe a parent-teacher night? If they came to games or your events? I was in Quiz Bowl. They never came to a Quiz Bowl event.
Quiz Bowl event?
Wait, do you guys know what Quiz Bowl is? Because you're from California and you're from Missouri. So
yeah, I have no clue what Quiz Bowl is.
We're gonna pivot to you being from Missouri, since the characters start out in Missouri in Guardians. But no, Quiz Bowl is a game show for nerdy kids in high school, and it would be on like local access or like the local PBS. And you'd go and answer questions, and they would be in the subjects, because you're like the subject you'd be taking in school. Like there'd be a math question, there'd be a history question, and I was always there for the culture and media stuff, because I was the nerd adjacent enough but aware of those things, so I was on the team.
I
like joining teams. What?
What's nerd adjacent?
What's nerd adjacent?
Yeah. Are you nerd or not? I don't know.
Am I a nerd or not?
Yeah.
I don't know. Brandon, what is a nerd to you? Are you a nerd?
No, I'm a geek.
What's the difference between a nerd and a geek?
I think a geek you dabble. I think a nerd you're like full in. That's how I look at it. Like there's a lot of, so I don't really fit any, I never think that I fit any place. So when I grew up, I read a lot of comic books, but I also loved playing basketball. And then I liked anime when anime wasn't cool.
Oh, sure.
So it's like, you don't really have a lane. Like, cause I was a kid who drew a lot, and then I was a kid who was okay at basketball. And then I'm buying comic books. So like, there was never a spot for me. So, but I could have a conversation in all areas. But if I got too deep in, I feel like I'd be found out that, this cat is. Okay. But everybody knew I was a geek anyway. So it really wasn't a bad thing. But I never feel like I fit. So I dabbled. I wasn't full in. Like, if it's like Magic the Gathering, I was not full in. Like, I dabbled.
Oh God, have you ever played Magic the Gathering?
I had a very good friend of mine who passed away. He played a ton of basketball.
Okay.
And he was into computers, and he got into Magic.
Oh, man.
And we're super competitive, so I would try and play and learn it. So I got into it because he was into it, and then when he passed away, I didn't get back to it.
That's fair. It's kind of more complicated than Pokemon, from what I remember, because you have like lands in addition to powers. And
yeah.
It's nothing like Pokemon. Pokemon's easy to play. I play Pokemon with my cousins. Yeah.
Okay. Wait, is and what is the interview section? But I'm going to go deep on this. Pokemon, it's you're up against another Pokemon with a certain number of hit points, and then you can add energy cards based on, and you only have like a water energy if it's a water Pokemon, and then some of them have diverse energies, and if you have so many, you get to do greater hits. Is that how it works?
No, each attack has a requirement. Like, some takes 1 energy card, some take 2.
Got it.
Yeah.
Did you play Pokemon, Brandon?
No, I didn't.
Did that come after you were of that age?
Yeah, it came well after.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So you started out in Missouri, right?
Yeah, started in Missouri. Went to Webster Groves High School. Hated high school. Hated it. Ended up going to a junior college. Where I was going to do radio first, but then I started kind of getting into video stuff, and I volunteered at this like small cable access station called Double Helix in St. Louis, Missouri. Actually, it's kind of in like the city, like almost close to the hood. So
isn't all of Missouri a hood? Let's be honest.
The north side is definitely hood. South City's not that bad.
Okay.
But I was kind of like right before you get to where it starts getting dodgy. That's where I was volunteering there. And then when I finally went off to school after I went to junior college, finally went off to school at Southeast Missouri State, I went and I got a degree in mass communications. So I was there for about 3 years, worked at a television station for a year, and then I did a lot of construction with my dad. He had his own business. He still has his own business, kind of downsized, he's gotten older. And then bought my own camera and started doing like recruitment videos for rich kids in St. Louis.
Oh, like the sports recruitment where it's like, hey, I need someone to film game tape of me, and then we're going to send it to a recruiter to get them to...
Yeah, and I was kind of being subbed out. It was actually a really well-known family in St. Louis that does a lot of photography. One of their brothers branched off. He started doing video. He now stopped doing video, and he owns a what does he own? He owns a bakery now. He just does he was like a photographer at, like, when the St. Louis Post passed was a big thing. Like, the St. Louis Post, like the biggest newspaper, like in St. Louis. Like, he was like one of the youngest photographers. Like, that's how good they were as a photography family. And they happened to play basketball, which is kind of odd. Like, all those boys, I think, with exception of like maybe 2 or 3 play ball. But so I was being subbed out through him, and I was using his own stuff. And he's like, yo, if you use your own camera, you'll get paid more. Yeah. So I just hung a lot of drywall and laid down a lot of concrete and ended up getting by my own camera.
What was that first camera?
First camera was a Sony FX1, which is like this big, like, it was huge, but it was like right like at the cusp of being a professional camera. It was a much bigger camera. So when I would show up to, like, go up into the booth and do the football stuff, all the other recruits had these little bitty like handy cams, and I would put this big camera on the tripod. Yeah. Because I wanted to make everybody know that, like, I'm serious about this is what I want to do. This is what I do. So we were using I was using like a mini SD tape.
Oh, I hated those
back in the day. So everything was like real time when you edited. But I would just hand the tapes off to him, and he would just put everything together. Right. So I was doing that for a while, and then
how were they editing it? Were they using? Because I've only ever done it on the Final Cut on a Mac.
What was he using? He had a where you could you could plug in. So there was like I forgot the name of the cord. I still have the cord. I still have the camera. I don't use it. I just have it to remember where I started. You just plug the camera in. Like they had like a little cord for you, put it into your laptop or whatever, and then you just go that way. So you would basically use like the camera as your reel-to-reel to kind of edit.
That's right. I do recall doing that sometimes. I didn't do this till college. Did you ever record over the tapes, like, or would each tape like, okay, now it's done, it's burned, and I won't re-record over it?
I used to record over a lot of them. Like, I would go to like Target and just get a ton of them. Just like spend whatever amount I had to go get a ton of tapes, and then after that I would just record over some of them, and some of them I just didn't record over. Like I have some like family reunion stuff on there from like 20 years ago I haven't recorded over.
Oh wow.
I don't know if I can still see it because I might have to take it someplace and get it
converted
done. Yeah, but
well, if you had the cord from the camera, what was it, just like USB?
No, it's a different type of connection on the back end of it. It's not USB.
I hate that when they change that stuff.
Different. Yeah, it's different. Like I said, this camera's like, gosh,
20, 30 years old?
Probably 20 years old now.
Damn.
Easily 20 years old.
Do you consider Missouri to be part of the Midwest?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't feel like Minnesota's the part of the Midwest though. I feel like I feel like this is the North.
This is the North?
I think this is the North. Like Midwest is like
upper Midwest.
We're upper Midwest filmmakers on this show. We like to emphasize upper Midwest filmmakers getting in debates. What'd you think BATE stood for? But you think of Missouri as more of the Midwest and we're the North. Please break that down for us more.
Anything north of Mason-Dixon line, you're north. No, it's just like it's so
cold. Were you
cold.
below the Mason-Dixon line? You're part of Missouri?
I don't know. I think we're like right on it or something.
Okay.
I can't remember. But anyway, it's like it's cold, man. Like nothing gets like this. Like to me, Iowa is kind of like borderline Midwest. It's cold. Like it's Midwest to me is like it's like you're like the middle of the actual country. This kind of feels like it's like the upper part of it.
The upper part of. So then, why did you come to Minnesota when you were in Missouri?
She's 6'2", and she was the starting center for the Southeast Missouri State on the basketball team. So we ended up dating. Actually, I was already done with school, and I was working at a television station. I was working at a KFBS 12, it's a CBS affiliate. So I was working there, and then we started dating afterwards.
Wait, did you meet her while you were at work?
No, it was Southeast, like the minority population was like really small. They had like an incident like a couple years before with some students who were Greek that somebody ended up like losing their life through some type of like hazing incident.
What? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Greek, you don't mean like the people who throw plates at the wall and have their names then in Apollopolis? Like fraternities.
Yeah, Kappa Alpha Psi, Delta Sigma Theta, that type of.
I was an Alpha MPC. Kappa Psi, just so we get that out there.
That's what's up.
Wait, you know that fraternity?
I used to know a few of them. I'm a part of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. Okay. So and we had a whole thing with Phi Delta Theta. That was like kind of like our we were cool with them.
Wait, so you knew her through your fraternity system? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, she was. It was a small population of black people there because after that happened, a lot of people left. So like we were kind of like that like big influx of students that were like black and brown students that came back to Southeast Missouri State. So they were kind of like trying to rebuild that whole student body up. So everybody knew everybody, first party, everybody, and she's 6'2", like you're not gonna miss her.
Sure.
She's 6'2" and very attractive. At least I think she is.
I'm not gonna comment on your wife's attractiveness.
So like I had known her for like, a few years, but we never dated. So when I was done with school and it was her senior year of college, we started dating on the back end of her senior year. And then she stayed there for 2 more years for grad. And then I was coming back and forth from St. Louis.
Your wife has a graduate degree?
Yeah, she's working on her doctorates actually.
Oh gosh, because she coaches at a high school in the Twin Cities, and she's the varsity basketball coach, correct?
She's the assistant. She's the assistant varsity basketball coach. She's one of the assistants.
Cool.
She actually coaches the JV team up there.
Got it. Okay. My wife works with the principal at that school.
Oh, really? Get out of here.
I know this because that documentary that was made about the football team at that school, she was like, oh, I know her. When I was watching it, I was like, oh, you work with this? She's the principal. Something very unfortunate's going to happen in this show.
Yeah.
So Tisa got a job in the Twin Cities, and that's why you guys moved here?
Well, she was always looking to come back. So
she's from here.
Yeah, she's from here. Born and raised on the north side. She's a part of like the only undefeated, at least as far as I know right now, the only undefeated ladies basketball team to go from preseason all the way to state.
Damn.
So she's part of that team. She also played with Tamara Moore, who went on to play in the WNBA and overseas, and she was a coach for the Mavericks for a little while, I think.
Oh.
So yeah. So she's a part of this like big basketball thing in the Twin Cities. Like everybody knows her. She played AAU with like some well-known players in the area.
What is AAU for Kirk? Because I obviously
it's like, I don't know what it stands. I forgot what it actually stands for. It's just like high-end basketball leagues or high-end leagues. So it'll be like AAU football, like kids that are really good, they play AAU in the off season, AAU soccer, baseball. It's a huge basketball circuit. So
we had something like that for soccer up where I was. Kirk, do you play any sports? We've been sports heavy for this. We should make this more of a sports bait show. What do you think?
Show? What is debate? What sports? Basketball? I mean, the Super Bowl is this weekend.
The Super Bowl. I like when we date the podcast so people know this is being recorded.
I do all the time, so it's my turn.
Date the podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, as long as you take it out to a nice dinner, you can date the podcast. Okay.
Yeah. Buy dinner first.
Yeah. Buy the podcast dinner first, and you can date the podcast. So when did you guys come up to the Upper Midwest?
She came up here. She was up here a couple years before I was. We were doing long distance for a couple years, and then I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and come up. So we did this thing to where I was like, hey, meet me in Chicago. We wanted to go see the Celtics play. Actually, not just the Celtics, but it's like one of Derrick Rose's like last years playing in Chicago. So I drove up, and I had this old '89 Jimmy that I absolutely loved. I wish I could get that truck back. And I just drove it to Minneapolis, and I was like, I'm gonna leave this here and come back and get it. And she was like, okay. So I just went back home, got some other stuff together, and I drove up, and I've been here ever since.
Oh,
that
damn.
was 15 years ago.
That's around when I came to the Twin Cities. We planned this, you and I. Just didn't know that.
Long time friends.
Had no clue.
When were you at MCTC? And what does MCTC stand for?
It was like Minneapolis Community and Technical College.
Okay.
I think they call it something else now. I think they might have rebranded the name. MCTC was my first couple of years here. So I was initially going to go to MCAT, but MCAT said that I wouldn't make it in MCAT. So I'm like, I already have a degree. Like, why would I not make it in MCAT? People at MCAT are really cool. I like them a lot. So, but I went to MCTC for because they were one of the few spots in the country that had a red camera. They had like a red one.
Oh yeah.
And it was a big deal. I was like, well, I want to work with this. Like, I don't want to work with anything else, because that was like where everything was trending. I don't think it's trending like that now, but like at the time, the red camera was a big deal. So they had a red one. They were letting students use it. I went up there. They did 1 year straight through. Then I got married, so I took about like a year or so off, and then I came back. So I'm a part of like 2 classes that I'm still pretty cool with.
I know a lot of people who do the local narrative filmmaking scene who came out of MCTC, and I'm sure I've ran into MCAD people, but I run into MCTC folks more. Mm-hmm. Could you tell us about the program, or Well, at the time it was a 4-part program. They had it's kind of like your like base classes, so you kind of actually learn everything. So you learn a little bit of everything your first year. Then your second year, that's when you branch off. So you're gonna be the editor, director, cinematographer, or a writer. So that was like the second year part of it. I like gadgets, so I wanted to be behind the camera. And plus, like the cinematographer is probably the only person that can tell the director no. Like, nah, it's not gonna work. Oh yeah.
It ain't gonna work. Let's try something else. And I kind of wanted to have like, it's not necessarily like a control, but it feels like you're like definitely a part of a team. Everybody gravitates around the camera. So like I was telling you guys before, like if I make a mistake or if I'm off, tell me, because I'll be able to make that adjustment. And I kind of took that baseline learning how to be a cinematographer at MCTC, along with just being like a mass comm video guy from Southeast Missouri State. I kind of brought that with me. So I kind of approach everything in that same lens. But that program was great. A lot of people I've known have gone on and done a ton of big things other places. A friend of mine, he's a producer. I think he's directing a small film now. He's got like a pretty decent budget. Some people out in California, some other people that do a lot of stuff locally still. I still talk to the professors. I was actually just there dropping some equipment off. today. So I was still talking to some of the professors up there. Yeah, I like the program. I think it's probably the best one, especially at the junior college level. I can't think of anything that's actually better than that. It really prepares you for, you're going to see enough of it to know, like, okay, do I really want to do this or not? It kind of lets you know, like, because there's a lot of, I had a truck, so I was hauling all the crap all the time. So I was on everybody's set.
Nice.
So I was the only guy with a truck. But like, it really lets you know, like, hey, do I want to do this? Do I want to be hauling stuff for X amount of time before I become a cinematographer, before I would get a chance to be an editor or a director? So great program. I recommend to anybody who's interested in film.
Yeah, and probably more affordable than going to film school.
Oh yeah,
at some fancy place. Although I've run into those folks as well, and I'm an idiot that went to school for finance. So at least that's what the engineers told me at the engineering school I went to. How did we come to know each other, Brandon?
We box. We hit things.
We do. Not each other so far.
Not each other. You haven't been in the ring yet, have you?
I haven't done sparring, but we do the partner drills where I am notorious for having hit, or I'm not as notorious for being hit, but there's...
What does that mean?
Well, like I'm pretty good at defending myself,
okay.
I've gotten a few good shots off on, I would say who to Brandon, but he's not in that class anymore. The guy that's basically a replacement for Matt from our class.
Okay.
Matt was got really into it, I'm describing for the audience, and Kirk started to spar a lot, did some matches. That guy in our class now, who went from 0 to sparring in like 2 years, he's clocked me and I've clocked him pretty good, because you spar sometimes.
I did it. I only did it 3 times.
Oh my gosh.
And it was I think we did 2-minute rounds the first time. By that 3rd round, I was done.
Yeah.
It's a different, like, every sport has a shape. That's a different type of shape. That's a different type of shape.
Yeah, to fight somebody for that long. Yeah.
Oh man, the thing isn't so much as moving as thinking. Like, to be able to have the wherewithal to get oxygen, to think, to not have your hands drop. There's so much stuff that's going on. Unlike playing basketball, like that time between running, like, offense and defense, sometimes you can catch your breath a little bit because the guy you're guarding isn't going to do nothing, so you can kind of just hang around. But this is like you're always on. And it's never if you get hit. It's never if. Because somebody's gonna catch you.
Likely to get hit. Yeah.
I mean, I got caught and I had a headache. Like, I was driving to work. I was like, why is my head killing me? I got 2 rights in the face, like in a row, bop bop. And I was like, oh, okay. And I'm still going. And I'm like, man, my head's killing me. But yeah,
I've been clocked like that.
Huh?
I've been clocked like that.
Oh man, but you have to get in the ring though. Like,
well, maybe.
Yeah, that's a count.
It doesn't feel like it's and it's not. It was still controlled. It wasn't like we would just go at it and just beat the crap out of each other. But it's like a different feel. I mean, I wouldn't do it again now because wouldn't do it again now. But like then, a couple years ago, I was like, yeah, I wanted to do it.
And what is the thing that we are working on currently that may or may not relate to the gym we met at?
Oh, we're doing a boxing, like, kind of like, what is it, like
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec, elementary type.
What do you think Abbott shoots on? I looked it up before. When Kirk got here for the podcast, we were debating what they shoot on.
I don't know, maybe an Ari?
They do shoot on an Ari.
Wow.
Yeah, good job.
Guess, yeah.
And I wish I'd retained what specific one it was, but...
That was a mini.
Yeah, you're right. It is a mini Ari, is what they shoot on.
Which makes sense, because they're...
Yeah, nimble. They've got them on gimbals a lot, I imagine. Yeah. And so... why did you want to do that? Like, I remember saying, hey, I've got a vague idea, boxing and Parks and Rec, and that's it. And what was that? Is that your recollection of what I approached you with? Or
yeah, almost exactly. Why? I think I haven't done anything creative in a long time. A lot of stuff I've done has been like a lot of corporate video-esque type stuff. I try to get creative inside of that. I think with this, it was one, being able to work with a script, which I haven't done in a while. I knew the crew was gonna be cool. I enjoy boxing. It's like I actually cheat on basketball with boxing all the time. That's like my side chick when it comes to sports, is boxing.
Does Cecil like it when you describe it that way?
Does who?
Does your wife like when you describe your mistress of basketball being cheated on with your other mistress of boxing?
I think she used to think it was funny. I don't think she thinks it's funny. I think I've said it so many times. But boxing is different. It's like a different group of guys and girls.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, it's not like even though we're all there to box, low key we're all sizing each other up. Am I lying though? It kind of, you're low key like, I wonder if I can get a couple hits. You kind of start to think that, but it's like it's like a different community when you're in there, and it's a different mindset when you're training versus when it's basketball. When I'm by myself, and I was the type of guy that I wouldn't leave until I made 100 shots. Mm-hmm. And then and sometimes when I was younger, I would the 100 shots would be my warm up, and then I would do my workout to be okay, cool. I'm gonna work from 15 feet down on this move. I'm gonna do post moves. I spend time doing that. So with boxing, it's almost like the same thing. It's like I want this jab to be right, but it's like you see everybody doing it, and everybody has their own way of doing it, and you start to it's like different because it's not a team thing, but you're in a team set. Everybody's together in that same set.
Everybody's learning together.
Yeah. So it's like a different type of person. And then you literally get out what you put in versus in basketball, you can kind of sandbag. If you're a good shooter, they'll just put you in the corner, you can shoot. You're not the best ball handler. Okay, we can give it to somebody else. If you can't work your way out of a Philly shell, you're in trouble if somebody can actually do that type of defense. Or if you're if you're a counter puncher and you can't see that left hand coming, that's a problem. So you have to work it's literally you have to work on everything. You have to be trying to be as solid as possible. In basketball, you can have holes and gaps all over the place and still be effective. It's a different feel. It's a totally different feel. It's a different community. Even going to matches, and we would know people at matches fighting, the way you cheer for people that that you see put in that type of work every day. It's different. It's a very different community, and I've always enjoyed it. I really enjoy that.
Yeah, like Slink, who's in our short. I saw him for years around the gym. I was like, that guy's just one pure muscle, and
he's probably eats no bread at all. I don't think he's had bread since he was 6.
No, he eats sandwiches. I was involved in his sandwich order because I was involved in everyone's sandwich order. Jones. So I did no free ads.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just regretted that. Yeah.
James Johansson's. Submarine sandwiches. Brandon, so we're coming to the end of the interview section. We ask everyone who is someone we should have on Movie Baiters with the Farx Brothers, the show you're on currently, to interview someone in the upper Midwest filmmaking scene. And we will probably send them this episode and say, hey, look, they said you should come on the show.
I would say the Adam Olsen, who's at MCTC.
Oh.
He's seen a lot of kids come through, done a lot of cool stuff. That'd probably be one person. He's a really good cinematographer. That'd probably be the guy that I would ask.
He shot a Z-Fest for somebody or two different people that we have had on the show, Tristan and Alex. He was their cinematographer. So he won't accept my Facebook friend request. This will make sending this to him. Yeah, I mean, not calling him out. He probably doesn't know who the heck I am. I think I've met him once or twice up in Duluth.
I'll see if I'll ask. I mean, he doesn't really do a lot of stuff like this, but I'll ask.
You heard it here first, Adam. You're going to get asked by Brandon, or you're hearing this here second because Brandon has already asked you. I was pointing at you to end the show end of this segment.
Well, thanks for joining us, Brandon.
No problem. Anytime.
Very inspiring.
Inspiring. Good.
This journey from Missouri to Minnesota.
It's a long trip.